Can you guess what it costs to live the American dream after 3 years of inflation under Joe Biden? Michael Snyder reports. If you're like most Americans, the cost of living has been going up much faster than your income has been. Of course, this not only goes for America, but throughout the Western world. Right now, millions of Americans that were once prospering are now deeply struggling. When I was growing up, most of the population could afford to live the American dream, but now that's no longer true. At this point, the basics of the middle-class lifestyle are out of reach for most Americans. Poverty and homelessness are steadily rising, and the economy has become the number one issue during this election cycle. Most of us just want things to go back to the way they once were, but thanks to the very foolish decisions of our leaders, that simply is not possible. According to a brand new a new report that was just released, it now takes over $100,000 a year for the typical family to live the American dream in all 50 states, and in 29 of those states it actually takes over $150,000 a year. A household would have to spend more than $150,000 a year to live the dream in 29 of the 50 states, according to an analysis published in April by the personal finance site Go Banking Rates. And according to the report, the optimal American lifestyle would cost $137,842 a year in Ohio, $147,535 in Texas, $159,932 in Florida, $194,067 in New York, and $245,723 in California. I had no idea that the cost of living the American dream had gotten that high. Illinois was ranked 26th on that list, and so it provides a pretty good snapshot of what the average U.S. household is facing right now. Median home prices, $255,000 some odd dollars. Annual child care costs, $24,174. Annual mortgage cost, $21,401. Car costs, $8,709. Grocery costs, $8,143. Healthcare costs, $7,021. Utilities costs, $5,278. Education costs, $2,475. Pet costs, $1,170. Total annual costs, $78,369. Full cost of the American dream, $156,739. Did your household bring in at least $150,000 last year? If not, living the American dream would not be possible for you in most states. Needless to say, the vast majority of U.S. households are not bringing in that kind of income. Last December, Investopedia issued a report that concluded that it now takes $3 to $4 million to live the American dream for an entire lifetime. Another report released in December by the financial media site Investopedia estimates that the American dream costs across an entire lifetime $3.4 million. That's a staggering sum, Investopedia observes, considering what the average American earns in a lifetime, about $2.3 million. Housing costs are the number one reason why the American dream is now out of reach for most of the U.S. population. During the pandemic, home prices shot up at an absolutely frightening pace. The median sales price for an existing home rose more than 40% between early 2020 and mid-2022. 40%. Topping out at a seasonal peak at just over $400,000, according to National Association of Realtors. Meanwhile, mortgage rates have risen to very painful levels. The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage was sitting at just over 3% at the beginning of 2022, to date sitting at more than 7.2%. Mortgage rates climbed again this week, exacerbating the home affordability crisis that's stifling the housing market. Freddie Mac's latest primary mortgage market survey, released Thursday, showed that the average rate on the benchmark 30-year fixed mortgage jumped to 7.22% this week from 7.17% last week. The average rate on the 30-year loan was 6.39% a year ago. The monthly payment on a 30-year fixed mortgage rate at 7.2% for a $400,000 home would be $2,715 a month. Who can afford that? Some people can, but most of the population cannot. That helps to explain why the percentage of renters that believe that they will someday be able to afford to purchase a home has dropped to an all-time low. The dream of home ownership has gotten even further away for renters, with higher housing costs and elevated interest rates standing in the way of the American housing dream, according to a New York Federal Reserve survey released on Monday. The share of renters as of February who possess hopes of residential mobility, or the belief from renters that they one day will be able to afford a home, fell to a record low of 13.4% in the central bank's annual housing survey for 2024. That's down from 15% in 2023 and well off the 20.8% series high back in 2014. If they work hard and do the right things, most Americans just want to be able to provide a nice life for themselves and their families. But during the Biden years, that has become increasingly difficult to do. As a result, the amount of confidence that the American people have in Joe Biden has plummeted. In a Gallup poll published on Monday, only 38% of Americans said they still had confidence in Biden to lead the country and do the right thing for America's economy. This figure is among the lowest Gallup has measured for any president since George W. Bush took office in 2001, Gallup reported. With Americans less optimistic about the state of the U.S. economy than they have been in recent months and concern about inflation persisting, their confidence in President Joe Biden to recommend or to do the right thing for the economy is among the lowest Gallup has measured for any president since 2001, Gallup reported. The current low for Biden continues a substantial fall from when he first took office. As recently as 2022, the same poll found Biden's confidence rating were at 57%. It swiftly fell to 40% and has remained below that mark since. I believe that this is going to be a very tumultuous election season, and I'm convinced that we will see even more chaos after the election than we will before it. The American people desperately want change, but instead things just continue to get even worse month after month. Decades of very foolish decisions have brought us to this point, and trying to turn this ship around is not going to be easy. And this is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.